guys, it's Maizeman 112, and I'm bringing you guys another Titanfall commentary. This time it is on the map, the colony. I'm playing a little bit of attrition, so let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. Today's topic's marijuana, weed, ganja, whatever you want to call it, sesame, whatever you want to call it. That is the topic. And why am I even talking about this? I'm talking about this because, as you guys know, I recently brought back my Mondays with Maizeman series, and this is basically where I just answer some questions from you guys. Sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're not. And it seems like I have a theme going on here. So I figured, you know what, I probably should go ahead and address it. So rather than taking up the whole next Mondays with Maizeman, talking about the same topic, I'm going to put it in its own video. And basically, it boils down to just a few questions you guys have asked me. One, how do I feel about medicinal marijuana? And how do I feel about the legalization of marijuana? Now, I guess I don't even know where to start. I guess I should start with the reason why marijuana is illegal in the first place. From my understanding, the reason why it's legal is in the 1930s, there was a smear campaign put on by William Randolph Hearst, and, you know, the guy's name slips the top of my head, but he's a lumber guy. And that was because the hemp industry was growing, and hemp is much stronger than wood fiber, and it lasts longer. Mind you guys, the Declaration of Independence is written on hemp paper. It lasts longer than wood pulp paper as well. So this was a threat to the industry, and you guys know William Randolph Hearst ran a lot of the paper in New York, so he had a very vested interest in the paper as well. They put out some smear campaigns in the 1930s, like I said. I think one was called Reefer Madness or something like that, and basically it was a smear campaigns towards Mexicans and blacks, saying that when they get high on marijuana, they rape white women. And that's kind of what started the whole thing. And really, it was all started out to like I said, make hemp illegal. Now, hemp is not even a psychoactive part of marijuana. It's kind of the male side of the plant. So it's kind of one of these things that got caught in the crossfire. Now, in the meantime, they also scheduled it a Schedule 3 drug. Now, a Schedule 3 drug is the worst kind of title you could get from a drug, because this means it has no medicinal purposes. Now, once you kind of could put into that category, it's very difficult to get out. It's like getting shunned in the Amish community. Once you're out, good luck getting back in. So this is the way it went until the 1960s. You kind of see a little bit of the hippie movement, the hippie push. But this was kind of more where they started outlawing more of the psychedelics, because that's kind of what they were into, and not so much of the marijuana. And you've seen the cocaine come out and all this kind of stuff. And it isn't until probably about the last decade or so that you've seen a real big push in medicinal marijuana. Now, that's the first topic I want to talk about, is because with medicinal marijuana, I feel like it has its place, it has its purpose. Now, I worked in an oncology, which is like a cancer clinic, for about 4.5 years. So you see people in their lowest point, and if that's what they want, if that's what's gonna get them to eat their soup, I don't think that me or anybody else should be the ones that say that that's not okay. I just don't get the whole point of view in that. I feel like you can have your pursuit of happiness as long as it's not hurting anybody else. Now, also with that being said, I feel like a vast majority of the people who have medicinal marijuana cards, they don't use it for true medicinal reasons. They use it for recreational uses, and they use it because they found a loophole in the system. And, you know, sometimes you got to play the game. I understand that, but I feel like the whole purpose of it is being abused. It's being abused to the point where a portion or majority of the money coming in from that revenue is for recreational use. So why don't you just kind of go with the big push? Now, I want to go ahead and break down the difference between decriminalizing and legalizing, because a lot of people misuse those terms, and they talk about it like they're interchangeable, and they're not. Now, decriminalizing would be about the same thing as you would as a parking ticket, a traffic ticket. Instead of going to jail or having a jail sentence with it, unless it goes unpaid, you're just going to have a fine. Now, this fine amount can range anywhere, you know, from $25 to $200 or, you know, something like that. That's decriminalization, depending on the amount of marijuana you would have on you. So it's still illegal. It's just not something that carries weight of going to jail. Now, the legalization of marijuana would mean that it's completely legal. It'd be legal to grow it as well. And that's where a lot of people kind of have the issue. They don't want the power to get in the wrong hands. Now, the way I look at it is, if you look at the 1930s when Prohibition was going on, it put all the power, all the money into the wrong hands. It put them all into the gangsters, and that's why you had these people running out of control. I feel like that's the same way it is now. Now, I'm not so sure that marijuana is the key to this. I think it might be more with the cocaine, the crack, the heroin. Seems like in my area, heroin is going through the roof right now. It seems to be more of those hardcore drugs. But I just wonder if you were able to take that money out of the cartels and put it back into our community, because our communities struggle. Let's be honest. We spend so much money wrapped up in military and other things like that it comes down to it. There's really not much budget left for our schools, and that's what they're doing over in Colorado. So Colorado's the tax money that they're making was going towards the schools, but they're making way more than they estimated. So now they're like, what else you guys want this money for? And I just think that kind of shows it kind of shows the mentality or the potential that you have in this untapped revenue source. As you guys know, there's something called not official name, the sin tax. Now, the sin tax is something that you tax tobacco, you tax alcohol. That's why this stuff's a little bit, more expensive than it should be. And all that extra money, goes towards, it's supposed to go towards education and things like that, but it's able to go towards more things. People would not mind paying a little bit extra, throwing some money towards the government to, help fund my schooling and everything like that, if you were to make something legal. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about a little bit on the health side of things, because I am for the legalization of marijuana, but I think it needs to be done correctly. That's the big thing, and it needs to be done in a way that it's not going to backfire on you. And that's a whole different topic for a whole different time. But I want to talk about the health benefits, or I shouldn't say benefits, I should say the health disbenefits from smoking marijuana. Now, one thing that you guys are going to hear kind of thrown around sometimes is called your lethal dose 50, or your LD 50. Now, this is the dosage of something that it would take to be lethal to 50% of the population. And, this is normally pretty low when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to heroin. But when it comes to marijuana, it's 1,500 grams. I think it's grams, not pounds. Grams in 15 minutes, which is a ridiculous amount, and it's not possible. No one has ever overdosed from marijuana. Now, that's not to go say that people don't die from using marijuana, whether or not it's lung cancer and things of those nature, but it's at a very lower rate than it would be with tobacco. Now, also, you'll have people that do stupid things with marijuana, but I'm really curious to know what your guys' point of view on the whole legalization of marijuana is. Make sure you guys leave it in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Spotlight, make sure you guys go ahead and check it out. I talk about whether or not small channels are bad for YouTube.